Yeah, Smackdown. I'm trying not to itch my eyes. This is now the 5th time I've tried to do this. My eyes have been itching. It's hard to concentrate. Oh, but let's make this clear. This wasn't a very big show, but it had some very interesting things in it. Okay? I will say that. Let me give it to you like this. The opening with Nia Jax. I am not a big Nia Jax fan, and I'm sure everyone else, at least most people, will agree. We haven't liked Nia over the years. Particularly that, oh my hole bit. Doesn't matter if Vince told her to do it or she came up with the idea. It made her look bad. And next to her being a very heavy-handed wrestler where she's hurt legitimately multiple wrestlers, including one man and many women, R-Truth. She hurt R-Truth. Legitimately. But the point here is that we've never really been fond of Nia Jax. But I cannot tell you that the build for her going into the Queen of the Ring was not done well. She has been built correctly, and as Queen of the Ring, it makes sense. It doesn't matter if you like her or not. It's the point that it has been built correctly, her story. And she made it very clear. I'm Queen of the Ring. Acknowledge me. That's what basically she was implying. As a bloodline member herself, even though she's not legitimately stated to be in the bloodline, she is part of the family, so she is a bloodline member, even if it's unofficial. And made very clear she's coming after Bayley. As simple as that. Now, I'm going to give you like this. Will we get an interesting match between Mi Chen and her because of what happened because of AJ Styles, and she's getting questioned by Kayla about what she thinks about AJ Styles possibly retiring and what he may be doing. Am I going to be interested in it? No. Because I'm more interested in seeing if Mi Chen becomes North American champion in NXT than about her becoming basically a body they're going to throw at Nia Jax. Because that's what's happening here. Until SummerSlam, they got to keep feeding Nia people. They're going to feed Nia more than a few people next to Mi Chen. Mi Chen will be fed to Nia Jax, and she will lose to Nia Jax no matter what. Unless someone interferes in the match and keeps her from losing, she's going to lose. I'm not going to say that's right. I'm just saying that's what they're going to do. Moving on. First match, Ciampa versus Austin Fury. Now, this is where the beginning of the end is going to be for one of these two teams. They've been teasing Ciampa having an issue with Johnny Gargano. And they've been on and off, very slightly been teasing a Austin Fury getting used by a Grayson Waller. Because Grayson's made it clear the Grayson Waller rub made Austin Fury relevant again. And that's what came up during the match. Because as you can hear that it's Corey Graves and Wade Barrett talking. And Wade Barrett said something that pissed off Grayson Waller. And as the match was going on, Grayson Waller said, "You can't be saying that about him. He's one of the best champions right now. And it's due to the Grayson Waller rub. That's the only reason he's champ." And the minute Austin heard that, he's going, "What are you talking about?" And he loses the match. But a week or so ago, or 2 weeks ago, you saw Ciampa having an issue with Johnny Gargano with his frustration that they can't get the job done to get the tag titles. So this will eventually come to a head. One of these two teams is going to eventually break up. It's either going to be DIY or it's going to be Austin and Grayson. It's going to happen. The question is which one and when. Now, let me give it to you like this. Seeing Apollo on the main roster again. I thought he had been released. To be honest, I wish he had been. Let me give it to you like this. If you don't like Apollo Crews, or if you like Apollo Crews, it doesn't really matter at this point. When it came to him going from NXT to the main roster and then back to NXT and now back to the main roster, they really didn't put a lot of investment in him. It's not that he can't talk. It's not that he can't pull off a character. And it's not because he can't work. It's that they never really invested in him. Yes, and people are going to say, well, he became a champion. He did the prince of one of the countries in Africa. Yes. Apollo, yes, I know they went there with him. And also what he had when he was dealing with Braun Breaker. Yes. But did they go beyond that? Other than setting up for somebody else? Because if you remember correctly on what happened in the main roster, what happened in NXT, it was always set up for somebody else. It was always set up for Colonel Azid, for someone else for Apollo to job to, like a Biggie Langston, because Biggie also faced him and also got his title. And when it came to NXT, what did we get there? Braun Breaker. What do you want to do? And there was other times, of course, with other people. But the point, like Dijak, but the point here is this. He's been mainly used, yes, he had some development and some build, but always in the end, he put someone else over than himself. And he may have won a title, but in the end, it was set up for someone bigger than him to take it from him. So I thought it was time for him to let go. He should have been let go, but he's not. Because the moment I saw him, I knew, jobbing. And guess who it was? Andrade Alilio. I knew he was going to job to him. Now, of course, we saw Angel Garza saying, hey, I've talked to Santos. Why don't you join us? He said, thank you, but no thank you. He watched his match. He actually came out. Angel came out, watched the match. Andrade won. It was a good match, but Andrade won, not surprised. And as the Delgado El Fantasma group comes out and Angel stands by them, he expects Andrade to accept. But he walks right by them and all of them looking like, what the fuck? And now we're going to have a feud between Santos, who looked pretty pissed off, to Andrade. So we'll have a feud with that. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be a good feud or a bad feud. We are going to have a feud. The question is going to be, and this is something I have to bring up, Andrade has learned English. We know this. But the question is, how well is his English? Because Santos Escobar speaks better English. You got Electra Lopez speaks better in English. Angel Garza and Alberto Carrillo, they all speak better English than him. The question is, how much better is it? Because hopefully he has improved his English enough that he could hold up a decent conversation, not look like I am. What do you want from me? And sound almost robotic. Let's hope it's not. Next, Street Profits versus the Bloodline, and that is Tomatonga and Tamaloa. Now, I'm going to do this right now. Did I really like the segment with KO and Paulie? Yes. Does it make sense with KO and Paulie? Yes. Do I feel the fear in Paulie when he's scared about what's going on with Solo Sikoa, Tomatonga, and Tamaloa? Sort of. Here's the thing. You don't have Jay there. You don't have Jimmy there. You don't have a Jacob Fatu there. You don't have Roman Reigns there. You just got Paul trying to sell that side. As much as Paul can do the job very well, and in the ring when he was talking to KO, trying to convince him to please back away, and then getting pissed off that no one wants to listen to him anymore, I can say that it's partially there for me personally. I'm sure everyone else is buying it, and everybody else is cool with it, but for me personally, the problem here is this. Without anyone on the opposite side of him, he feels like he's missing something. That's the problem. And they did eliminate everybody on purpose because they wanted to make it so clear that Solo is working with somebody in this version of the Bloodline. And that's what pretty much Paulie said. Who is we? Now it's either going to be, let's make it clear, it's either going to be Jacob Fatu or it's going to be The Rock. Unless it's somebody else we haven't thought about, it's going to be one of these two guys. But the problem here, it feels like he needs somebody by his side. He needs to be having somebody with him to be like an extra bit of protection from the Bloodline itself, and then gets destroyed by them when he brings that person in to protect him, and then it will feel right. Because right now it doesn't feel right. It feels like what could have happened and should have happened in my point of view. Of course, everyone else would not agree. was when it came to Jimmy. And when this happened, that Jimmy got eliminated, it should have been when Jimmy was on the side of Paulie. And even though Paulie tried to say, this is your brother, don't do that, he should have been standing by his side saying, what the hell is going on? Because Solo is taking over, and Jimmy, who should be the one who should be in charge over him, did not get that option. He never did. And that's the problem for me personally, because Jimmy should have always been the older brother who's always told Solo what to do when Jay was not there, and the problem is he never was. And then when Solo eliminated him, it felt like it should have been elimination in a different way. That's how it felt for me. The match between the Street Profits and the Bloodline, I'm not surprised. The Bloodline won. Of course they were going to win. There was no way they were going to win. Come on. Final match, and I want to make this very clear. I said this quite a while ago. Naomi Trinity should have never returned to the WWE so soon. She should have never returned. She should have never went there. She could have gone to AEW or stayed in TNA. I truly believe she should have stayed in TNA, even though I'm not totally fond of how things went. And I'm not going to tell you that if you watch TNA, that right now, even though it has a lot of questions and certain things have been going on, particularly what happened with Jordan Grace, I'm not going to tell you the product is 100% trash. It's not. There's a lot of questions with the product, but they have done some improvements, like to the production. When it comes to their stories, it's still a question that they're doing very well, but they're not 100% trash. And I wish she had stayed there. Or go and spend her time with Mercedes in AEW. I would have been happy if she went to AEW. Yes, they probably wouldn't use her correctly. But let me give it to you like this. What would you rather see? You rather see a Trinity in TNA where she would probably still be relevant even if she wasn't champion? Trinity, who might be somewhat relevant even though the booking for AEW is still a big question, and what's going on with Mercedes as TBS champion is still a big, big question mark because we still don't know how she's going to be booked. Or here in WWE where she helped to put over Jade Cargill, helped to put over Bianca Belair in their tag team, helped Bayley most of the time, and has been eating pins a lot with no gaining. I'm not expecting her to be on top, to be the champion. I'm not asking that. And I know you're not supposed to be that, particularly after coming back. But come on, you couldn't give me something more better than this when it comes to Naomi. She ate the fucking pin. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You could have used somebody else instead of Naomi. Yes, you could have had Naomi come in to back her up if she was going to be fighting. Or better yet, have Blair Davenport, who she had a little bit of interaction with, let Blair Davenport, well, you see I'm getting upset. Blair Davenport could have been the reason why she lost. And she could have been springboard into that feud other than what happened with Tiffany Stratton, which wasn't a bad feud for her. It helped Tiffany and wasn't 100% bad for Naomi, but Naomi's being used to put other people over. This, tell me, where has Naomi been good? She hasn't. She hasn't. I wish she had not gone back. I still feel, and this is my point of view, there's no truth to it. It's my speculation. If you guys remember the documentary from Triple H, when he talked about 100% when the Clique left to go to WCW and he was the only one left, what happened? What happened? He said he was called into Vince's office and said, everybody's gone, so I gotta punish you. You're gonna have to eat shit and like the taste of it until you make up for what has happened. Because that's what it feels like. When she didn't do anything wrong, she's now eating shit. That's what it feels like for me. I'm sorry. Final. I'm not talking about anything else but the final segment. The Mark Henry treatment. The Mark Henry treatment. Now, I can't remember exactly when this segment happened with Mark Henry and John Cena. It could have been 2012 or 13. I can't remember. If you've seen Mark Henry's documentary, he talks about this himself, that segment that he did was actually his retirement speech. He wasn't lying about what he was saying there because that's what he was legitimately going to say. He said he's done all he's going to do. But Vince managed to suck him back in and said, we got something for you. And he came in a blue vest, but pink, I believe pink pants. That's what it came out. He came in a blue vest, a dark blue vest, and pink pants. And he says, this is my time. This is my retirement. And John Cena was there. He said, this is what I believe. I'm not phrasing exactly. It's paraphrasing. The thing that I remember, I had made a good Austin, Texas, a boy from Austin, Texas has now been made proud because of how hard I worked. And I'm proud of what I've done. And John Cena was with him. John Cena held his hand up high. And pretty much, as you already know, he cold-cocked that bitch. And he said, there's still more left in me. That's what I do. And this is what we got with AJ Styles. Now, we were questioning what AJ was going to do. And when I saw AJ in blue, something was nagging at me. It's before I realized this was a Mark Henry treatment. I'm going like, what are they doing? What is this? Something's irking me. What is this? That was right after Nick Aldis and him were talking. Then he was questioned when LA Knight was asking questions. I'm going like, there's something going on here. I know it's got to be something. It's got to be something. By the time he saw LA Knight again, and I saw him walking, he saw the OC, no Michin. Michin was not involved in it, which I don't understand. I'm saying that she looked gorgeous. Those boobies look delicious. But the point is, he calls the OC out. And the minute the OC go out with him, Mark Henry. That's when it clicked for me. I knew this was the Mark Henry treatment because Mark Henry wore a blue blazer. Of course, he wore pink, but that's how Mark is. But he wore a blue blazer, he wore blue pants, and the minute he started talking, and the minute I just saw him standing there, it reminded me of Mark Henry. And I don't remember when this happened, either 2013 or 14 for Mark Henry. I don't remember. You guys can tell me below. I could be wrong. You can say the date. I don't care. But I knew this was another remake of Mark Henry and how he did his supposed retirement speech. He called up John Cena just like Cody Rhodes was asked to come out when you saw AJ talk to him before he went outside and shook hands. He asked him to come out. The OC went outside of the ring. They stood near the ramp. It didn't go anywhere. We didn't know that, but they were still there because we know what happened afterward. And he talked about his life. He talked about his son, which, let's make it clear, Mark Henry made it very clear, like I said, in his documentary, that was legitimately his retirement speech. What we heard from AJ, let's make it clear, that probably was part of his actual retirement because one of his sons is now graduated from high school. And he thought, how much have I missed? How much I'm going to miss because he has other sons. And this is one of the things that defined what would make him fully retire. Calls out Cody. Cody says, thank you. You have been a big brother to me because of the text message. That's what he said. How can I say this? This is probably a actual shoot that Cody texted him, see how he was. And AJ said, I'm all right, little brother. Because Cody has not been in the business as long as AJ. And they incorporated that into the story. And in the end, what did we get? We get AJ getting his hand raised by Cody because he's made it official. He's retiring. Putting his arm up each and every time. And I was waiting for it. I was going like, where's that clothesline from hell? Where is that clothesline from hell? Where is that damn clothesline from hell? Oh, there it is. And I knew that he decided to destroy Cody to do what he's going to do. Now, there's going to be people that's going to say this is very typical of WWE. No. We are talking about TKO WWE. I don't care what anybody says. They're not WWE anymore. This is TKO WWE. And we are working with somebody, a Triple H, who's going to use whatever is necessary to get people to care. Even if it's a rehashing of an old story from Mark Henry, it doesn't matter. They're going to do whatever it takes to make this interesting so they get this. I want to make this very clear because everyone was thinking AJ is going to go to TNA, because I got to bring this in because I know from I think at least one or two people in my comments have been talking about all the fantasy bookings. No, you didn't get it. And I'm not surprised. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. WWE of old would never do this. TKO WWE today will do whatever it takes to make this. They don't care about the other company. You think they care about TNA? They don't. You think they care about AEW? They don't. They only care more about this. And worse yet, we are talking about not a promoter who owns the company. We're not talking about a former wrestler that owns the company. It's a businessman that owns the company that's going to do whatever it takes to make money. And right now, everything's lining up perfectly for the fans. Whether you like 100% all the stories or not, it's not the point. Everything's still lining up perfectly for the fans to get good wrestling and good stories. But when the stories don't line up and the money goes from here to here, is when you'll see the businessman is going to shift all of the regular things that are storylines and everything would normally do to whatever he thinks is going to make this. Whether it's controversy, whether it's sex, whether it's rock and roll, whether it's drugs, if he can get away with it, he will. And either people are going to love it or they're going to despise it. Now, we're way, way far from that moment. But it'll come. And I wish it wouldn't, but there's a chance that it will come because it's happened before. WCW went through the same thing. 100%. And look at TNA. The only person that cared 100% for the product is Scott D'Amore. And I'm not saying he made good booking there, but I'm telling you right now that they have someone else there who cares about TV and media more than wrestling. Technically, he doesn't know anything about wrestling. He only knows about media and TV. You're going to see a lot of changes to the TKO WWE product in time and TNA product in time, depending on if they keep the same people in the same places. But it's just me. Peace.